We are back, everybody, for another episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 97. Chris O'Mealy. I'm really excited for this one. One half of the Three Legacies broadcast team. He is his own content creator as well. As there's so much going on with this guy. We've been chatting for a while online. Hopefully some future content coming up with both of us because we're both very passionate about the independent wrestling scene and putting over amazing talent. Also, just to kind of give you a little glimpse into the future, not only will I have Chris on today, but I will have his broadcast partner on very close to the end of the year, possibly the last episode of season 1. Joey Image will be joining us on the episode as well. So we're like, we had the owner of Three Legacy, now their commentary team, some talent. It's, we're putting over all the promotions in the Northeast wrestling scene. And I'm sure we'll talk about, you'll hear Three Legacies dropped in there 600 times this podcast because they're doing amazing things. Make sure you check out the links below for all things ABJ, whether it be following me on social media or buying some merchandise. There is tons and tons and tons and tons of logos available right now. So as of the day of this recording, spoiler alert, this has been recorded in October. This is airing in December, but I am currently working on, so by the time this airs, it's all be done. But I've been putting out every single logo. So far, I'm not done. There's still a lot more to come, but I'm up to 147 logos. We have variety of every spoof you can imagine of stuff. Like I have very, very talented people who help me. Witchcraft by Lily and logos by Hunter, Haley Stokes, Kai have all been making amazing logos during this time where I have no car, no job, chasing this dream, and they've been really, really helpful just putting out some fun little logo spoofs, and hopefully people buy a t-shirt or two to help the ABJ podcast stay alive. You know what I mean? Like a lot of that has the reason this has been alive. We had the sponsorship for a while there with Suplex. They were helping out, but they're another set of unsung heroes. Links are in their bio. If you want any logos or anything, hit them up. So grab those logos. Everything will be on TeePublic, and then Teespring will have just an exclusive shirts, and then every now and then more merchandise will pop in that you can't get on TeePublic. So t-shirts and hoodies and all that are available on Teespring, and then TeePublic is just t-shirts and I think like pins and stuff. But so there's a variety there, so go check that out. Make sure you go check out all those links below. Without further ado, let me bring my guest in, Chris O'Mealy.
What's going on, buddy? I was going to say, I need to hire you to be my marketing coordinator because you are the plug king, my friend.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. I have a lot of very important people in my life who are supporting me and helping me get by. Like I said, life has taken a drag. I'm back home, mom off camera, trying to have a conversation as I'm recording. And then I say, hey, I'm recording. And she just wants to keep talking. Lovely stuff. Anyway.
Is your mom Italian by any chance? Because that would be mine.
No, super Irish. Just doesn't shut up. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, Irish and Italian are very similar. Just one needs more.
Yeah, you're telling me. I'm half and half. So
same. Yeah. My dad's side Italian, mom's side Irish.
This is a very vicious blood cycle that's happening right here. They clash. Wonderfully.
Let everybody know who you are and what you do. I mean, I kind of gave a little bit of what you got going on, but you have a lot. So let's give a brief idea of what you put together.
You did a pretty good job with that already. But my name is Chris O'Mealy. I've been involved in the professional wrestling industry since 2005. I am very old, and things hurt now when I move around, but thankfully I haven't taken a bump in over 10 years. So I probably move better than a lot of people in my position, but we'll talk a little bit more about this here, but I am a former Disney cast member, part of the opening team of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter for all of you Potter fanatics out there. We'll talk about that a little bit. That was an experience. And currently one half of the commentary team for Three Legacies Wrestling. I am the play-by-play commentator, Joey Image, who I have known for as long as I've been involved in wrestling, 18-year friendship. I handpicked him as my color coordinator. So I love calling him a color coordinator because it throws him off every time. He's like, coordinator? I'm like, yeah, you coordinate colors. Ricardo let me pick my own guy. He said, if you know anybody who wants to do it, and I went right to Joey because I know that ever since his retirement in 2015 and not being able to be involved anymore as far as in-ring capacity goes, he really just likes to be involved. He's very smart to the business. He's been around for a long time. He's got a lot of great advice that he offers people. I tell him this all the time, Joey, that you are way smarter than you give yourself credit for. And I've seen him do that with the students at Three Legacies Wrestling. So we mesh very well. There's still a lot that we're both learning from as far as commentary, because the promotion's only a little over a year old now, even as we record this. But that's all part of the learning experience. You just get better and better through time. You learn from your mistakes, you figure out what works, and you just remember, you put the talent over.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, sometimes I'm not that great at that.
Look, we all slip up every now and again.
But also, sometimes I play a little bit of the bad guy, so I kind of
yeah.
You're F that guy. I try to. I don't want to say I'm trying to bring back, because there's a lot of people who try it, but I like to bring in those shades of like Bobby and those shades of Ventura in. But I also was trying to do a different thing before, where I bring in, like, I try to do commentary from a fan standpoint. And the reason I try to do that is because I was brought in as a podcaster. Like, people like, hey, we want you on commentary because we like your voice, we like your energy, we like everything about you, and because you're a good podcaster, bring that to commentary. And I was like, okay.
Same reason why Ricardo brought me in. So
yeah, and I started doing it, but then I was all like, I'm also very, I guess, polarizing. I'm very loud sometimes, rambunctious. I throw some quirks in there.
Italian.
And then a lot of people are like, oh, it's really funny, but it's really different. We're not really sure how we feel about it. And then that Pat McAfee guy showed up, and everyone's like, Blackwell, we like what you're doing because it reminds us of what we're hearing on TV. And I'm like, that guy is helping me out tremendously.
There is, that's the thing though. And the best advice I could ever give anybody in commentary, or even ring announcing, because I started as a ring announcer when we go into like the history and everything, but make it your own. Don't try to be the next Bobby Heenan, be the first Anthony Blackwell Jr.
Yep.
And that's once. And I had to figure that out myself, because for a long time they were like, oh, do Joey Styles stuff, because I used to wear glasses and I look like him. And I'm just like, okay, but I kind of want to be me, but I was a greenhorn. I didn't know any better. So I emulated Joey Styles, and that was a massive failure because there's only one Joey Styles.
I did a little Joey Styles last night. I at the Sanctuary, I did solo commentary. So I was doing play-by-play and color, and I'm normally not a play-by-play because I don't know move names and I don't want to get them wrong. And then I get that thing in the back of my head where I hear the internet wrestling community roasting me before I say a move, and I'm like, I'm gonna not say this right. And I just like, and then I just get the one like, F it. And I'll be like on commentary, I'm like, side thing. I don't care if you don't like it. I just say that. Okay.
Well, second main lesson I took away from commentary is that it's more important to tell the story of what's happening in the ring than it is to know every name of every move.
Exactly. So, I look at it like this.
Once you figure that stuff out, your commentary gets so much better.
Yeah, I look at it like this, and maybe you can agree or disagree, but I feel like we're at a day and age where we're not, like, for a while, even when television became a thing, everyone still did sports commentary as if it was being done over a radio. And it's just like, arm jack into the thing, off the rope, da-da-da. I'm like, they can see that.
Yeah.
They can see that.
Exactly.
Tell the story. Tell the story.
The fans can see what's happening. I call wrestling matches like it's a sporting event, like it's an actual match that's happening in front of me, because that's how I was always taught how the best commentators did it. And I take a lot of my inspiration from, I'll throw a couple of shout outs in here. I love the commentary old school from Gorilla Monsoon and the way he played off of Jesse Ventura and Bobby Heenan, which were both great foils for him. I love how Joey Styles did it by himself, but he still managed to do that. And thankfully, I haven't ever had to do that by myself. I've always had a commentary partner. No, it's difficult. It's very difficult. And I've tried practicing on matches at home by myself. Like, this is hard. I need to take a breath every now and again. I need a drink of water. I can't. Like, then you forget. Oh, it's just like running the ropes. If you're not breathing, you're gonna run twice across. You're gonna collapse on yourself. So
yeah, it's tough. A lot of people don't let the match breathe too. Like, it's okay to let people, like, especially if you see the talent talking to each other, like not talking in the term of talking in the ring, but like enough so they want the crowd to hear what's being said. Commentary needs to like chill for a second and let the cameras pick that up. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough. I've done commentary a few times where someone's just like, I need to talk every single second of this match and just go. And you're just like, hey, I'm here, you want to give me a spot to interject?
That happens a lot when you get a guest commentator, when you have talent sitting in with you who've never done it before. And you got to just kind of pull the Jim Ross card. Another great play-by-play guy. Just pull the, take it easy, kid. Take a breath.
Yeah.
Um,
I won't say who I did commentary with, but there was like 5 or 6 of us. I'm not even joking. I think it was a 6-man booth for one match.
that is
And
out of
it was
control.
dumb. It was stupid.
I don't even
And they're
like
like,
3-man booths.
yeah, and I don't see. I like a 3-man booth if it's a good 3-man booth. Like I did a 3-man booth with me, Pete DeLong, and Paul Bowe,
Right.
and that's 3 legends. You know what I mean? But besides not me, but the other 2 are legends.
Well, they're
and then
also
myself,
great at what they do.
Yeah, and then it would be like me, Pete, and like BP, who I do commentary with Sanctuary. We did a show before, and that was amazing. Like because I bounce off really well with BP. Pete can bounce off anybody. That was a good booth.
Yes.
But then every now and then, like you go to a show to be me, Pete, and insert somebody here, and then it just turns into like Pete doing play-by-play, the other guy kind of inserting when he can, and then usually me making fun of the third guest, which is a good time, you know. I'm like, well, if there's 3 people, my role has to be more. Like I have to be that character. Like someone has to play a character here, and that's where I'll try to like jump in and be like more of a character guy. Like I can't stand this guy, and try to give that. So the Bobby
I always
and the
loved
gorilla
doing commentary with Chris Decker because he would just get. Oh, he was so much fun because he would just get so into it, and he didn't. Especially if we knew we didn't have to censor ourselves on commentary, so he'd just be like, "Oh my god." And I'm already blanking on people's names that I've worked with in the past. Sorry, goldfish memory.
Yeah.
It'll happen, kids, as you reach your late 30s. Get ready.
Yeah.
It'll happen to you, kids. I'm telling you. But we were calling something. And Decker just screaming, "I hate this guy. He's a scumbag." And I'm like, "Are you supposed to be the play-by-play guy?" He goes, "I don't care."
Yeah, I love the best is when like you kind of come out of your comfort zone and do something different. And
oh yeah,
I don't know.
It's so much fun.
I get sometimes when people are like, I can't stand when commentary go into business for themselves, and I was like, yo, we drove just as far and worked just as hard on that show than a wrestler does. Let us try to get over. Like we're just as much a part of the show as the talent are. Like imagine telling Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, hey, you're doing too much, you're getting more over.
Oh my god,
are you crazy?
Yeah.
Like
for
stop
real.
it.
I mean, that's just it. I'm going to put the talent over. I'm going to put him over big, but you know, I'm also part of the show.
Exactly.
And if I'm not entertaining in my own way, then why is anybody going to want to listen to my commentary?
Yeah. A lot of people
that
too,
we're just learning from.
When people are like, I usually mute commentary on the independent scene, but like if I listen to you, I leave it on because you're entertaining. It's like, all right, that's a win. I like that. Like you're not muting me because there is a lot of bad commentary on the independent wrestling scene.
I won't name anybody, but I've heard it. And that's another thing. I've learned to not talk over the whole match, and sometimes I just let it go quiet and let the wrestling speak for itself, and then I interject. And I think people appreciate that because I'm not trying to. Like right now, we're doing a podcast, and dead air on radio can be death, and I've got a radio background, so I kind of had to unlearn that a little bit. But once I figured that out, and I realized that, well, no, there's a visual aspect. Let the match speak for itself. Interject your stuff in, and mark out a little bit too, because if you're excited, they're excited. Project that. And now that I've figured all that stuff out, I feel like I just come across very natural on commentary, and I've still got worlds of improvement to go. And that's great. You should always be improving. That's what they tell you, but I'm having fun with it too. Yeah. And I get a lot of compliments from a lot of the talent. You know, hey, I really like that line that you said. Right now, my go-to one, shout out to Zoe Cannon, one of the Three Legacies top students, by the way. First female graduate. She's out there killing it right now.
I think I've seen her PPW. She's, if I'm not mistaken, she was in it's PPW, so every women's match is like a 4-way or a 6-way or mixed tag. But yeah, that she was, I believe, like if I remember correctly, she's very, very impressive. She looks like her style is very she can hit hard, but she's also very like speedy. Like she has that like speedy aspect to her. Yeah.
So she's got the she's kind of the girl, the fun loving girl next door type who's also like a metal chick.
Yeah, I think she was a heel the night she worked PPW. I think she was a heel that night.
Well, she's a baby face in 3LW because she's homegrown, because all the students work as crew. So when they graduate and start having matches, the regulars know who they are and they can't help but cheer for them.
Yeah.
Clayton Adams is the only one that went heel because he debuted as a heel. The very first 3LW show, very first official match, we do pre-show matches first official match was Ricardo Rodriguez and Bryant Starr. Here's some 3LW history for you. Ricardo wins the match, and right after, this big 6'9" dude comes out and just friggin' big boots him and choke slams him. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? And that was Clayton Adams, the first official graduate.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing too. Someone makes a debut on wrestling. I've had situations where commentary wasn't told anything about them. And then you have the one person scrambling to like, what's his name? And I'm like, don't say it. We have no idea. We're seeing it as the fans are seeing it. If we don't say the person's name, that's part of the show. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think that's something that Kevin Murphy really appreciated, because I knew he was going to be he had a big storyline with Ricardo about taking over the company. It's actually still ongoing as we record this. I know we're recording in Halloween time. You're listening to this in Christmas time, folks, but storylines are still going because this is wrestling.
There's so much snow out there. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Huh? What? But, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, the surprise entrant.
Yeah, Jake Roberts Snow got in my way. My bad there. So, but Murphy appreciated that because he brought his stable of guys with him that were going to interject in the storyline. And I made sure to not only grab their names, but also some background info on them, so I could say like, "Oh my God, here come the actual Money and Muscles guys, and here's all these stats about them." And it's just, it's all part of doing your homework.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize, like, the independent scene as a commentary team, you have to, like, I don't know how you guys are there, but like a lot of times when I'm doing commentary, I have to bring my own production. So I'm commentary and the commentary production. So I have to set up my own stuff, find a way to make it mesh with the camera crew that's there and all that. That's a blast. But also, like, you got to go backstage and you have to pick and choose your right spots to talk to talent to get their information so you can put them over in commentary while they're trying to get their match together or get gear on, or like there's a lot involved. It's a lot of work.
I try to be pretty respectful about that, but there's certain times when, like, all right, guys, I can't sit here while you guys plan your whole match. So I'm just like, pardon me, I just need to interrupt 2 seconds. Let me just grab some info.
Oh, you have to interrupt.
Out of your way. Yeah,
you're never going to get done in time.
Well, thankfully, we have Babaconda Productions working with us here. Andrew Shankman, who's a wonderful production guy, it's his company, and he brings his own crew. He's got great audio setup, great camera work. And he supplies us with the microphones and everything, good professional grade equipment. So we just kind of have to show up, put the headsets on, and get to work. And that's been very helpful.
That's a dream. Do you have monitors?
So, okay. So yes.
Did not mean to do that.
Okay. So yes, we do. But sometimes they just plain don't work, or we can't get them to fit with the thing. So we're just like, we'll just watch the ring and make it happen. Monitors can make it easier, but in some cases they're just not practical for the setup. So we just work with what we can. And we also have a good audio guy. We have Chio Frost as our main audio guy too. Yeah. So I
had one situation where we had monitors and you were able to watch the whole show through the monitor and not the ring, but we were also behind the crowd, so that helped out a lot too. But this production team also did they would do instant replays. So if something crazy happened, they would pop it back in. Like, it was like a one take thing. They shot the show as if you were watching it live, but it wasn't live. And then they would just insert it later on and just like go from there. So on commentary, we were like, hey, don't do anything crazy because we're shooting it as if it's live. I was like, so I appreciated that. And it almost gave me like a TV vibe. Like I was like getting TV ready. This was at PPW, but that production crew, like, I learned to like watch the monitor and be like, oh, we had a good thing here. And I would like challenge them. I'm like, that big boot, if we can get a replay of that boot out there. And then they'd be scrambling. And then like, and then it would pop on the screen. Like, there's that big boot, Bobo. Like,
listen, I know you can do this instant replay. So now you're going to do it for me.
Yeah. I would literally.
You want to be live?
Yeah.
You want to be live? We're live, pal.
Yeah. But they loved it. They're like, yo, we love that you interact with us as the production team and like give us like stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, I was like, I've never experienced that, so I'm just having fun with it. But then I would have to watch the monitor and be like, oh, here's that replay again real quick, Popo, that big boot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or if they don't tell us it's coming, it just pops up on screen. But if we're still calling the action and then they pop an instant replay on screen, we're like, oh boy. Or another thing that happens a lot too is like multi-man matches or tag. You're seeing someone get punched on the outside, but the camera crew, you have no idea what they're showing. So you're calling something that's not even being shown on camera, and then you have to rely on in post editing. Are they going to show what you're talking about?
Right.
So like
that's a cool thing
tricky.
about the Babaconda guys. They're very, very good at that. And that's how we always get our commentary notes on what's working and what's not, because Ricardo's just like, man, he goes, I listen to you guys quite a lot as I'm in the editing process. So but that's good though.
That's amazing. You're getting feedback, because that's an unheard of thing. And that helps you get better. And for Ricardo to give you feedback is great, because he's done literally almost every job in the business.
For sure. I don't think I could say enough positive things about him. Like, just the fact that watching him train his students, here's a guy who's so patient and so understanding, and he's not yelling at anybody. He's not threatening anybody. He's not screaming. Like, he's such a mellow guy, and he's churning out these great students, which just proves that, like, you don't have to be a hard-nosed trainer to come up with the best students. You can be kind and nerd and fatherly, like.
Yeah. And when I interviewed him, he was explaining too, like he would like be side by side with Regal, and they would help like work people in the ring. And it's just like, if you're working with Regal and he trusts you enough to be like his runner, because to go in there and like, hey, go in there and work this guy, because I trust you enough. Like, if Regal's giving you a badge of honor, that's enough right there to be like, if I'm looking for a wrestling school in the Pennsylvania area,
oh, for sure,
and you're near Lancaster, you're a fool not to go to Three Legacies.
Yeah, and he's always taken on new students. He does a lot of beginner classes too, where he'll do like a seminar and have people come in and test the waters a little bit, because you know this, because I'm sure you've been to plenty of schools before, just like I have. Everybody thinks that they're gonna get in on day one and start doing moonsaults, and that's not wrestling training at all. You're gonna stretch. You're going to do lots of cardio. You're going to get beaten down a little bit, because Joey Image always said it best. It's like boot camp. We're going to weed out the pretenders, because not everybody can do this. And once we see that you're serious and you're putting out the effort, now you can start learning all the intricacies about it.
Yeah. Or if you come in and you're really, really athletic, they're like, all right, we're going to make sure you're not just an athlete and you really want this. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah. So when did you get involved in professional wrestling? What's like when you first got in, were you a talent? How did you get involved? What school did you go to?
So pro wrestling quite literally just appeared in my life. And it's actually a pretty funny story how it happened. So I was in, I guess it would be considered my sophomore year of college. And I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do as far as job and everything. I was looking at journalism, but journalism wasn't really lighting the world on fire. I didn't really think I wanted to be like a newspaper guy. Because I found out about broadcast journalism, working in television, and had a really good local teacher at the school. He's actually one of the local weathermen. So he was teaching broadcasting classes and like meteorology classes, which I'm passionate about meteorology stuff too. So I was like, oh, this will be cool. I can take all these classes, learn from this guy. So my first day of class this sophomore year, I'm sitting in the back of the room. This is a community college, small classroom, 20 students or so. Broadcasting schools are never big. I'm sitting in the back row, 4 computers, me and 2 of my friends, and then this 4th guy is sitting back there with us. Small class, so our professor, Tony Salimo, he's retired now, so I hope you're enjoying that, by the way. You and your friggin' nice house that you tried to make me clean once, Tony. I would have done it if the money was good enough, though. I like money. What can I say?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in the back of the room with my 2 friends, and we're all wrestling guys, like the 3 of us. And there's this 4th guy sitting with us, and Tony's like, hey, go around the room and introduce yourself. So the guy's like, oh, hi, my name is John Salinas, and I'm a professional wrestler. And we all did and he's just like, yeah, I've been a professional wrestler for about 3 years now. Like, holy crap, what? You're a what? Because those were like my pay-per-view buddies. We were all wrestling fans from high school, went to college together. We always got together on the Sunday nights and watched the pay-per-views, chip in some money, get some pizza.
It's the best way to do it.
Watch the show. Yeah, exactly. And that's how I met old John Salinas, Johnny Toxic. And that was actually his first year of college, because he's a year younger than me. Mm-hmm. So of course we're always chatting. We're asking him all these questions about training. He trained at Kevin Knight's school in West Patterson, and same school as Joey Image. Mm-hmm. So we're asking all these questions and everything. And I was like, man, I would love to do something in wrestling. I always thought it would be cool. Like, I know I'm not an athletic kid. I don't know if I could actually be a wrestler, but it would be so cool if I could be a manager or a commentator or something. He goes, I think you could do it. Why don't you come with me one time? I'm like, to do what now? Like, so.
Could you imagine if someone walked into a wrestling school, like our wrestling thing, and you're just like, hey, by the way, I found this kid in community college. He's going to be a broadcast journalist. And the wrestling are like, it's a big title, like, that's a commentator. He's a broadcast journalist. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well,
we were going to use a ring crew guy to go up there and do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, based on some of the places I've worked that I won't mention, that's probably happened before.
Yep.
So it was all I can remember was a Wednesday night in December of 2004. I can't tell you the exact date. It's mid-December-ish. Get in the car and we drive up to Pittston, Pennsylvania. And this is where World Star Wrestling was operating their school, Backbreakers, which Justin Glory later took over, was operating a school out of a garage in Pittston. So, of course, I met Glory next. We were like at the gas station or something, and he happened to meet us there. Like, yeah, you know, how he tells me his real name. Like, I'm like the student trainer and everything, because all the good wrestling schools had student trainers. And then I met Johnny Glitter for the first time. And it was funny because they prepped me for him too. They're like, he's going to walk in. Don't be intimidated by him, because Glitter's a big dude, and he's got the Hulk Hogan hair. Nothing on top, all long blonde in the back, but he had it dreadlocked for some unknown reason. He's a good guy. And I hope he's doing well out there. I know he's apparently World Star Wrestling is still around. I don't think they've run a show in 12 years, but they're still a thing. So, you know, shout out to them. I'm going to give lots of shout outs and plugs along the way here. But yeah, Johnny Glitter, Justin Glory, and John Salinas. It's their fault that I'm involved in all this. So everything that's ever happened to me in wrestling, I can blame it on them. I tell Salinas that all the time too. He goes, I'm not taking any responsibility for you. I'm like, nope, it's too late, man. You drove me there. This is all on you. And we'll talk about Foreman GSW later. But so I didn't have any money to actually train, but I still wanted to go and hang out and observe everything. And it's how it kind of like fell in my lap a little bit, because after a couple months of just going there and observing, Glitter pulls me aside. He goes, you know, look, kid, I see you're very serious about this. And I know you can't pay to train or nothing, but we need an announcer. I think you'd be good at it. So we're going to have you do the backstage commentary. You're going to be our Mean Gene. I love the way he talks, by the way. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to do backstage announcing. That's going to be awesome. And of course, my first show got canceled, because independent shows do. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what the deal was with the next show. They didn't have a ring announcer, or they wanted to use him as talent instead, because it was a talent they were using as a ring announcer. They're like, well, screw it. We need a ring announcer, and that's you now. I was like, okay. So
you went from mean to fink.
That happened on a Friday, by the way, for a Saturday show. So I had like a crash course in ring announcing.
Yep.
And May 14th, 2005, at the Matamoros Firehouse in Matamoros, Pennsylvania, in front of 50 raving fans. That, for me, that should have been 5,000 fans, because that's how I felt going out there. And I was a huge nervous wreck. But man, I had such a blast at that show, and I still remember that show like it just happened yesterday, and it's been almost 18 years, which is terrifying.
I went to a show. I was supposed to be a host, but not a ring announcer, just a host, like go out there and do a bit and leave. You know what I mean? Type one of those deals.
Right, which was kind of what they were going to do with me.
Yeah, so I show up at the show, but they're like, hey, before the show starts, can you go to the convention that's around the corner and work the convention all morning, hand out flyers, and get them to come to the show that's a couple blocks away? Not a problem. So I do everything. I'm like, hey, where you at? I'm like, we stopped to get something to eat. We haven't eaten all day. Well, can you get here quicker? I was like, I guess, like, we're on our way. We walk in the door, like, by the way, you're ring announcing today. And I go, what? Like, yeah. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't have a voice. I don't know what to do. And I'm just like, I remember I got in the ring. I had the note cards. I did the first two people, and I blacked out. I don't remember any of the show. I just went on autopilot. I literally don't remember any of it. And then I remember sitting, the main event is happening, and I'm sitting, it's Mike Skyros versus Edith Surreal. And I remember just sitting next at the production table, where like commentary is one side and the sound guy, and it's just me. And I remember just like realizing, I'm like, the show's over. Like, we're done. And I was just like, I hope I did good. don't remember. Like everything just went away, and they're like, "Yo, you killed it. You did a great job." And I was just like, I have no idea. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched it back. I don't know. Like I'm terrified. So I have one ring announcing under my belt, but I have no idea how I did. I have no idea how I did.
I always had a lot of fun doing ring announcer work. It took me a little while to really feel comfortable with it and get the mannerisms down. Oh, I know mine did. Oh. I don't watch those videos back of like my first year as a ring announcer because I'm just like, I cringe at everything I did. We had this outdoor show and I got sunburned. So instead of like putting on the jacket, I just wore like a crappy World Star t-shirt. And for some reason I kept my baseball hat on. I don't know why I did that. Cause now I look at that back. I'm like, I can't watch the show. Like I'm embarrassed by what it looked like. And like Nikolai Volkov was on the show and I didn't even want to go back and watch that segment. I'm like, God, and then because I'm a big wrestling historian, I start learning about what are considered like these outlaw promotions from back in the territory days that were just, well, they still exist in some places. I love New Jersey. That's my home state, but my God, there's a lot of them.
Oh boy.
And
yeah. I probably worked a few of them.
Yeah, I have. And I'm not going to say who they were because I'm being nice, but like I can't go back and watch that stuff because I look terrible. But as everybody has pointed out, and Justin Glory, always a wonderful voice of reason, he says, it was your first year. We expect you to suck. Yeah. Did you get better? I was like, well, yeah. He goes, then you're good.
Glory's the first independent promoter in Pennsylvania that paid me to do commentary. First person.
There you go.
He handed me an envelope. I was like, what's this for? He's like, for your work? I was like, shit. Yeah, like, I was like, this? I didn't know I got paid for this. Yeah, this is a great.
I think my first payday with Johnny Glitter was $5. He just handed it to me. He goes, go buy yourself a cheeseburger. And I remember on the way home, because I had two friends in the car, I'm like, we're stopping at McDonald's. And I'm like, this money is earmarked for a cheeseburger. Johnny Glitter told me to buy a cheeseburger, and I did. I bought a McDouble with that money.
Yeah,
I think I did actually. I think it was probably on my MySpace page. Good Lord, I'm dating myself now, but I'm almost positive I took a picture of the cheeseburger because I was so excited for like my first payoff.
Yeah,
that show was fun too because that was
I would have bought a beer.
That was my second ever. That was my second ever show. That's where I met Joey Image, and that was Luke Gallows' last show with World Star before he went to OVW. So we were all excited, like, oh, this is so cool. Drew's going to the big time. What's he going to do? And then he did the fake Kane thing. And we're like, oh, this is cool. He's going to get to work with Kane. And then the whole May 19th thing was him. Yeah. And then that lasted like a week. And we're like, oh, okay. And then Festus happened. We're like, oh, God.
So I heard on a podcast, he has an 8x10 that he sold. So the Festus thing happened and he went back to the independent scene and he would sign 8x10s of him as Festus giving a big boot and his testicles hanging out of his shorts. And he would sign it and hand it out.
Yes, I have heard that before. He's very proud of that, by the way. But I'm super stoked for everything he's accomplished.
I've met him twice. He's one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. And he was
most
so
guys who are on
there.
TV. Sorry to cut you off. There's most guys who will come on TV that come to an indie promotion. They come in, they do their job, they sign their autographs, they do their match, and they get the hell out of there. He sat in Gorilla the whole night, watched everyone's match. As soon as they came through the curtain, he's like, do your thing and then come back to me. And he gave every single person feedback on everything the entire night. And he was like, listen, like, this is what they would look at on TV. This is what you got to clean up. And I just remember like rotating on commentary and being back there and hearing him give people advice. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, I love this. Like, he didn't have to do this at all.
Some guys are going to big league you and other guys are just, they're one of the boys and they always will be. This goes back to the lowest attended show I ever worked was probably 13 people. It was in this really ghetto part of some, apparently a lot of people have me beat, but it was in this horribly ghetto city in Connecticut. I don't even remember where it was. It was in this Jewish community center. Luna Vachon was on the show. And a lot of people could have balked. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people would have balked at 13 people. Not her. She went out and did everything she was supposed to do professionally. But the big takeaway from that, she took the time to learn all of our names. including the students that were like working production and stuff for the company. Like she took the time to learn everyone's name and talk to them and get to know them. And I'll never forget that because, like, you know, here's this legendary female grappler, you know, comes from a wrestling lineage. She's Hall of Fame worthy. I don't think she wasn't in the Hall of Fame yet.
She's in the not the Hall
legacy,
of Fame, but like
right?
the legacy, which is bullshit.
Yeah. Well, she's in it, but that's what matters.
Yeah.
She's featured, and that's what's important. But like, she didn't have to do anything like that. That was her going above and beyond, and I always really appreciated that about her. And there's been a couple of guys that like Tito Santana, when I went to go collect his info for ring announcing, he had like his manager who was with him talk to me instead. And I thought he was kind of like big league in us because he was kind of like over in the corner, private and everything. Turns out he's just shy. He was just shy and nervous about talking to people. And once he warmed up, he was one of the boys. Mm-hmm. So
I've seen that too, where people are super shy and then they are people have a bad experience. Like, I hate that guy. I'm like, you had a bad experience with him? They're like, yeah, he did this, and this. And I was like, you got him on a bad day, because I met that person a few times and they're the coolest person ever. Yeah.
I haven't worked with that many people that like have really rubbed me the wrong way on a consistent basis. There've been a couple, obviously, but most of them have just been the rival promoters who went after GSW and tried to mess with those shows. And we can see how well they're all doing now. So, by the way, don't ever start a promotion. I don't recommend it.
3D. I'll give you a little hint. 3D. One of the members of that team. Not a fan.
Gee, I wonder which one.
Yeah.
I wonder which one he's talking about. I got a 50-50 shot. It's like, it's like playing the table.
Yeah. The one, the guy that gets the tables is a good guy. The other one, not so much.
Yes. For sure.
So let's dive into that. To hit, like, you guys started Garden State. Or I'm sorry, GS. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm having
GSW. Yeah, not GCW.
Yeah.
Can't take credit for that.
They started GCW, guys. No.
Yeah, I know. Wow. I'm not seeing any.
Well, that's where I met you. Was kind of before you go into the beginning. How we first met was the end of that GSW promotion. Like really, like literally right, like weeks before the pandemic hit.
Do you remember that conversation? Because we had that conversation. You, me, and Chris Decker. We're like, this COVID thing. Do you think it's going to get bad and affect independent wrestling? And well, spoiler, it did.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, that was one of my first introductions of like coming to a show and trying to get content. And I remember they're like, locker rooms there, just set up your stuff in a locker room and do your interviews. And I walked in and everyone's changing. And I was like, looked at my buddy. I'm like, we're not getting a second of content here. And they're like, why? I'm like, because we don't belong in here. Like, we're not part of the team. No one knows who the fuck we are. And we have a camera and everyone's changing. So I just packed everything up and we stood outside and we just watched the show. And it was one of my favorite shows. I would like to this day. It was one of my favorite shows I was a part of. And I got to see a lot of cool talent that night.
Yeah. A lot of cool people came out of GSW. And there's so many cool people that I knew from World Star that got involved with GSW. Like the talents I met really early on before I even worked a show, Matt Turner, Mike Collis. Then I would meet guys like Brad DeMeo and Eric Pinhat, Ref Matt. Ref Matt Derline. Like these just fantastic guys that are just so good at giving back to the business and just so good at giving back to the young talent. And they do it because it's fun. And then, you know, a lot of homegrown GSW talent that came out of there from maybe they're not like homegrown GSW guys, but they got a lot of notoriety here working with guys like Brute Van Slyke and Jay Freddy, Bo Nakota. Always a good time there. Adina Steele, who is phenomenal, and she's such a huge rising talent. Kit Raff, like so many great guys. I'm going to leave a bunch of people out, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to not go into too much of a name game here.
My first logo for my podcast, for Tornado Tag Podcast, was a photo of a girl German suplexing a dude, and it was literally taken from the Adina Steele Kit Raff match from
that's awesome.
The reunion show. And then Shio's daughter actually took a photo exactly of the German suplex and then sent me the photo, and then I got to redo the logo and with an artist and then cartoonized the cartoon version of Adina and Kit and then actually put that as a logo out there.
That's
so
awesome.
Like my first match, my first intergender match, my first everything, and they weren't even dating yet. They were just wrestling each other that night,
right?
And now they're like a power couple. But like, yeah, that was the for me, the introduction to independent wrestling was that show, that reunion show, and seeing those two go out there in the beginning, and just like, I was like, it didn't feel like a guy versus a girl match. They went out and just kicked the shit out of each other. And I was like, this match is fantastic. Yeah.
I want to, I gotta get with Ricardo about doing more of like the power couples of wrestling. Cause we work a lot with Facade and Danny Moe, and we've done shows with Victor Benjamin and Lady Frost. Like I want to book.
I mean, you just forgot an amazing couple. I'm just saying. You're talking about the fire starter. I mean, was it law? What was their tag team name just last night? Fire, the Law of Fire. I don't know. Journey Burke and
Journey Underwood. Yeah. Which are, by the way, two more talents. I hope everybody's watching, because they're on it. They're on a huge tear, and they're phenomenal. But like, there's like these cool power couples that we can work with. So I want to bring in Adina and Kit and have them tear through the roster as heels. Maybe I can manage them.
Yeah.
You have to fight.
I think you'd have to fight somebody for that manager spot, though. I think Kit has a manager.
He coach. A strong bad. I'll put on the strong bad match and just pretend I'm coach.
Your pants have to fall down, it doesn't count.
Shout out to Coach, by the way. What is fatherly duties and everything. Yeah, shout out to him,
sweetheart.
He's awesome. So, GSW was actually born out of World Star Wrestling frustration, as I feel like a lot of people start promotions for this very reason. I'll tell you the whole story of the match I was going to have that never had. My one remaining goal in wrestling is to have a match, and that was the closest I ever came to it. I'll tell you that story in a minute, but a lot of frustration was happening, and we all could tell that Glitter was starting to write us off. Like, he had new talents coming in, and he was kind of using them. So like, we did like I did half the show, and then a new ring announcer came in and took over the other half, and it was to give me a break and not overwork me. And I'm like, no, you're phasing us out. Not going to bury anybody here, but John got into an altercation with someone in the locker room who specifically waited for Steve Corino and some of the other guys to leave before the fight happened, before he went and confronted John, and then he smacked him. And we were done at that point. Because John and I had rode in together, and he goes, on the way back, he's like, I'm done. I'm not ever working for that again. And I said, well, dude, I don't want to go back either, because I don't want to go back without you, because I don't feel safe there anymore. Like, John's my boy, and they've already pushed out other people. I hadn't seen Turner or Collis in forever. I hadn't seen Image in forever. Like, they weren't using any of these guys anymore.
Yeah.
So I saw the writing on the wall. John saw the writing on the wall. John felt the wall. So we were like, John's like, we could do this ourselves. I'm like, okay. But we started in Jersey because you don't need a license or anything, or a doctor or anything for Jersey, which is why there's so many promotions.
For now, that might be like
this will be a change for the better. Let's be real here. It's going to put a lot of people out, a lot of people that shouldn't be. But
I like how the people who are going to get pushed out are like, we're just going to keep doing it until they say something. Like, they're going to start saying something.
Oh, they'll say something.
but once again, realistically, possibly new people in charge of the athletic commission in Pennsylvania as of 7 days of this recording. So maybe some stuff changes in Pennsylvania.
We'll see. Yeah. But, I don't remember how Garden State Wrestling came about. Obviously, it's Grand Slam when it moved to PA, which I love that they kept the acronym and everything. But I'm pretty sure that was John. I don't think that was Decker, because we were the three original creators. And I just don't have that kind of like memory bank and everything. But we got together. We found a building. We rented one of Gino Caruso's rings, because that was the best guy that we knew, the best local guy. And then we just called people that we'd worked with in the past until we had enough people for a card. And the first show was at this, I can't remember the name of the building, but the ceiling was ridiculously low. We should have had a low boy ring, and we didn't. Steve Cruz still ribs me to this day about that show. Every now and again, I'll post a picture of like his head hitting the ceiling in the ring.
Is that the one I heard where somebody went up and they were doing like, if they went up and did a Stone Cold pose in the corner, their elbow, from their forearms up would have been in the ceiling tile?
Pretty much, yeah.
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 I've heard
Except I don't think
stories
this was ceiling tile. I think this was like a cement ceiling. So you were
Yeah.
just going to break a knuckle on that. But everybody worked hard. Everybody worked well. And we kind of used the people that we had available to us. Our commentary team were two broadcasting guys I brought with me from college. Our security were college friends of mine. One of my buddies did all the photography for us for that show just because he's a professional photographer. He just did it as a favor. Everybody did a really good job with it, and everybody worked under the limited circumstances. I do remember, however, up the audio in the back, and all of a sudden the power goes out for like a split second and comes back, and I was like, what the? And I hear everybody laughing upstairs. The locker room's up the set of stairs behind me, so I go up there, and one of those like electric chairs that you can use to get up and down stairs, like a wheelchair accessible thing, it had moved. And I go up the stairs, I just look in the locker room, and everybody points that image like it was him. I'm like, bro, you almost just killed the power.
Yeah.
Don't sabotage our first show, damn it.
I've had a lot of people come on the podcast who talk about Garden State and like how it shaped them into who they are in the business now. We talked about Brad and Eric and and Phil Stamper and just like some of the names. Like you guys, we're here in the early stages of this promotion, but like there's people who are on TV now who were wrestling for this promotion, and like big names came through there. Like it was a lot of fun.
Wrestling promotion is very difficult. It can be very frustrating, but it was also a ton of fun. Like I remember one of the shows, we had a tag team coming in from New England, and they weren't going to make it. And they each called me independently to like blame the other one. And I was literally going to sign paperwork for my grandmother's estate who had just passed away, so I could like get some inheritance money from her. And I'm like on my cell phone dealing with this. I'm like, oh my God, this is what I've picked. But John really took control and shaped it into the promotion that it was. He and I have chatted about the possibility of any kind of resurrection. I know he kind of wants to, it's just a timing thing, but he kind of thought of maybe doing like quarterly shows, like super shows, and not really having storylines or anything, just having super shows under the GSW banner. I'm like, dude, I'm all for it. I'll be with you. Just tell me what you want to do. So I'd love to see that, because it was a good time. And that last GSW show was so much fun because it was basically like the history of GSW. Everybody who had been there at some point came in.
As someone who knew nothing about it, the story that was told and the matches that were told, I was like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. Like here's the history of the tag team division. Here's, you know, the Phil is the anti guy who's trying to take over the company. Like every storyline, that beat was there for someone who's never seen another show. It made sense by the end of it. Now that's why it always sticks into my brain as like it was a very well told story.
Yeah, and we actually have a picture. It's me, Joey Image, Rebecca Derline, and Phil Stamper. We were the authority figures over the years for the company. We all took a picture together, which is really cool.
One of the best spots ever in a match too is when Turner took a DDT to the outside and his daughter thought she legit died.
I know. Oh, that's always rough.
Yeah,
that's always rough. It's always rough when the kids. I've always said I'm not one of those guys who is going to be like, oh my God, we need to do kayfabe like the 80s. I do believe there needs to be more kayfabe out there than currently is, but that's a very appropriate time to break kayfabe is to ensure your daughter that you are alive. Yeah. So I can approve of that one.
The two talent that I fell in love with on that show, after leaving that show, I was like, oh, these are my two favorite guys. I'm going to follow them until they're done. Is Kit Raff and Trajan Horn were the two guys. Trajan Horn. I was like, dude, I love me some Chubby Daddy. Like that was my favorite guy ever since.
My favorite thing about Trajan Horn is he's not playing a character at all. That's literally just him. That's just him.
Because I remember after the show, we're all hanging out, and Trajan just comes walking back from the locker room in just underwear and a case of beer under his arm.
And that sounds about right. That's what his action figure is going to be.
Yeah, and then he said to me, I was like, what are you doing? He goes, this is the Jamie Senegal spot. Because I guess that was a Jamie move, or a case of beer and just walk around in the underwear. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I had such a good time, such a great time at those shows. Everybody always had a blast there.
Yeah.
And they had a good crowd of regulars too that came to most of the shows. Of course, I was there for the final 5 for Joey Image, which was the big emotional send off that we gave for him. But like, it's just, wrestling was supposed to be fun, and like, yes, I do take it seriously as a sport and everything, but you have to have some fun with it too. Otherwise,
it's still very much entertainment as well. It is athletic competition. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the one thing. I need to have a match one time. Almost happened once. Almost happened. That's actually how the whole heel ring announcer thing came about in World Star Wrestling. That didn't go anywhere.
Well, here's what we do. Talk to Ricardo. Say, hey, I need a match. And then you go in and fight. And then I'll sit with Joey for one match. And I'll call your match while you're wrestling.
Done deal. Here. Oh, Ricardo already said he'll make it happen. So, and he knows my back's all screwed up. So I'm not going to be like a good bumper. But if I'm having a match as a commentator or as a non-wrestler, I'm not supposed to look like a good bumper. I'm not supposed to take good bumps.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to not look like I know what I'm doing. That's the point. I like telling the story because I feel like the story would have worked, and I'm going to tell you because I don't think a lot of people know the truth behind why this never happened, but I've learned the truth now, so I will shoot on this a little bit. So we were doing a string of shows in Hazleton, the Hazleton Ramada, and it had these big chandeliers, and I had just had LASIK surgery, and my eyes were still really, really sensitive to light. And I remember I walked in, this was like the 3rd or 4th show we had done in this ballroom, and I walked in and the chandeliers just killed me. And I'm like, I can't do this. So I put a pair of sunglasses on and ring announced the entire show in sunglasses. And Dr. Frank was our doctor for that show. Everybody probably knows who Dr. Frank is.
Legend.
And he comes up to me after with Johnny Glitter and he goes, I got to tell you, that was the coolest thing ever with the sunglasses. Like, that was such a cool character thing. I'd never seen that before as a ring announcer. You got to do something with this. And Johnny Glitter is a wrestling genius. Like, that's the biggest thing positive I can ever say about that man. He can come up with month-long storylines like that. And that's exactly what he did. He came up with this idea where I was going to be the heel ring announcer, and he had just brought David Adams back as his classic ring announcer. And the fans knew who David Adams was, so they cheered for him and they booed me because we were in front of these old school World Star fans that were watching when him and Alpha were still a thing. And they had all these old guys, so they didn't want to see any of these new guys. So they basically cheered all the old guys and booed all the young guys, except for Glitter Jr., the referee. They cheered for him. But so we were going to use that natural reaction, and they were going to be like, we're going to do like a 5-minute ring announcer match. You're going to get in his face. He'll get in yours. We'll have you guys fight. He'll beat you, send the fans home happy. We'll teach you some basic stuff so it doesn't look completely garbage. Okay, cool. I'm all for it. And then David Adams just dropped out, and I never saw him again. I know he still does stuff. I've just haven't seen him since.
Yeah.
So I still really wanted a match. So Salinas and I came together and we pitched an idea. I don't know do you know who Chris Envy is? Have you worked with him before?
It sounds familiar.
Okay. New York-based wrestler. Him and John had a big feud that summer for the cruiserweight belt. And one of Envy's friends had gotten involved as a referee. His name was Tom Ugly, sadly no longer with us. And he was going to turn heel, be a heel referee, and I was going to turn heel and be a heel ring announcer. And we were going to all kind of align with John and go after Envy. And it was going to be like Envy versus the world kind of thing. The match that was going to come out of that we pitched was Envy. Every time he would win the belt, his oldest daughter was always there, and he'd pick her up and hold her up. She'd hold the belt up. Everybody cheered. And then John would like rip the belt out of her arms. And that would get huge heat because
I thought you were going to say that they doomsday deviced her.
Oh, that would have been. Yeah, that's how Envy turned heel. He doomsday deviced his own daughter.
Picture up in the grown man clothes.
Oh my God. I don't think we could have gotten away with that one. maybe in Philly we could have gotten away with that.
You can get away in Jersey. Come on.
Yeah. But this was Northeast PA. They're not as rabid up there.
They're not as fun.
Take it down to the 2300. We would have had that locked in. They would have been cheering for more. Oh my God, that's friggin' hysterical. So the match was going to be John and I versus Envy and his daughter. And we laid out the whole match. It was going to be nice and simple. John and Envy would run spots. Envy goes down. He tags me in. I come in. I start getting offense. Envy makes a comeback. I do the cowardly, like, hug John in the corner, like, tag him back in. They run spots again, take down Envy. I come back in, but this time something happens where I can't tag John out and I'm stuck in the ring with Envy. He hits me with a move that would have been safe for me to take. I was going to be a knee breaker. He was going to pick me up and just break me over his knee. And then he was going to splash me off the top rope. Nice, easy stuff. I can take that. Even if he botches the splash and hits me, it's not like I have to do anything crazy out of that. Mm-hmm. We practiced it. It was good. And then he's going to tag in his daughter and his daughter's going to pin me. I'm the non-wrestling heel. So I'm going to get a tremendous amount of heat because everyone's going to laugh at me. The little girl pinned me. John and Envy aren't affected. And the little girl wins the match and wins the day. Everybody thought that was a brilliant idea. Everyone was on board with it. The little girl was excited. I wish I could remember her name. She was super thrilled. She was all excited to be working with her dad. He loved it. John loved it. I loved it. Even it was only a few years into the business, but I was finally experienced enough to understand that, like, me losing the match was the right thing to do. And me getting pinned was the right thing. Like, I was smart enough to understand that. Everybody was on board for it. And then, like, the next show, they moved everything into a new storyline. And Justin Glory, who I absolutely love to death, but he always tries to be a peacekeeper and didn't exactly tell us what the truth was here. He just wanted us to not feel bad. He pulls us aside and says, Glitter had to drop the storyline. And the reason he gave us was because the Athletic Commission would have had an issue with someone that young being involved with a match for legal reasons. Okay, that's a perfectly reasonable excuse to cancel the match. So we're bummed, but okay, we get it. Well, we tried, and we'll come up with something different. And then shortly after that, the backslap happened, and then GSW happened, so it never happened. I found this out years and years later. The real reason the match got canceled is because Glitter didn't think of it, and thus he didn't like it.
And then found the reason. Yeah, I found other reasons.
Didn't want to do it.
Well, the reason it was shut down is a legit reason. Like that made sense.
That's a perfectly legit reason, but it turns out that was also false.
Yeah,
that wouldn't have actually been an issue because she technically wasn't doing anything.
Yeah,
if she had actually gotten in there, if they had done like Kenny Omega,
well, they recently
not New Japan, but
shut down some stuff at shows because there was a kid in the ring and all he did was come in and like pose and then leave. But they're like, a kid in the ring, not allowed.
Yeah. So no, I get the reason, and I'm sure it was a legitimate reason, but I later found out that was Glitter's reason. I was like, you know what? You should have told me the real reason. You should have come up with that in the first place and stuck with it.
Yeah, but I want to shift gears a little bit here because we are coming up to that hour mark, and I don't want this to be a 4-hour one because we'll go all day. We'll table for a part 2, and I want to get into a little bit some here. But
sure.
So you're also a content creator as well as we talked about the ring announcing. I want to stick with the wrestling real quick now, but ring announcing right now. I'm not ring announcing. Commentating at Three Legacies. We kind of said some names out there, but like who are some of your favorite talent in that promotion to call matches for, or when they're booked on the card, you're circling their name because you enjoy calling their stuff?
That's the thing. He's got such a great array of talent right now that he doesn't have bad talents. I mean, there's some guys that have come in and done one-shots and haven't come back, but I haven't seen any bad matches. Like that's the thing. And I don't want to leave people out again and make them feel bad, but I will say that
if you're left out, he hates you.
Yeah, I hate you. Bury him. But I love calling Zoe Cannon's matches and Al Snook's matches and now Just Jay's matches, because watching these guys who were students and who were crew and now they're having these matches and they look phenomenal. You can tell that Ricardo's training is top notch. I give Clayton Adams the shout out too. The only thing is he's being used as like a big man heel. He doesn't work as much as they do because they're all baby faces and they're workhorsemen. And that's nothing against Clay because he's doing exactly what he needs to do and he's friggin' great at it. But you see more of them and you see more of their capabilities because again, Clay's working for how he needs to work, but they have to shine more because they're smaller, and they are shining. And I put them over really heavily because I love seeing the trainee get out there and just kill it. And like we've actually said this on commentary, Joey and myself. Joey was the one that kind of took the lead here, but he's like, he's like, one Al Snook match. He goes, I didn't see any rookie mistakes. I didn't see anything that made me think this kid was having his first match. He looked polished. His match looked like he'd been doing it for a while. He didn't look like a 10-year veteran or anything, but he looked great. And I almost mentioned this earlier. I forgot to, but my favorite commentary quirk, because every time Zoe Cannon wins a match, she's shocked. So my go-to line now is, no one was more surprised that Zoe Cannon won that match than Zoe Cannon was. And now she started quoting that back to me. So I'm glad that's resonated with her. But yeah, those guys are great.
It's cool when you say something on commentary that gets over. Matt Quay was wrestling. I was doing a lot of Matt Quay matches. And I remember he came out and I said, Matt Quay lives by he lives by the 3 M's because, Hurt Angle, 3 eyes. And he's like, and Pete DeLong's like, the 3 M's. I said, yes, America, muscles, and mullets.
That's amazing.
And it became a t-shirt. It became like my commentary line became a t-shirt. Yeah. I was like, so when you get that nod on commentary, it's like, yes.
Zoe may or may not be doing that. So,
a shocked Zoe shirt.
But the main regulars who've been there pretty much since day one that are just phenomenal. Bro Keller,
love Bro Keller
current
matches.
3LW champion. As we're recording this, hopefully I'm not.
His hair, though.
Yeah, his wife made him do that for the wedding.
Bummer.
I asked him. I said, why'd you cut the hair? He goes, Mrs. made me do it, man. But she let him keep the stash. So
yeah, we were backstage at a show and we had to get promo photos done. And I had my hair down. And there's a fan there, and I was like, "Yo, can we do some with the fan on, like blowing my hair?" And Frank Boris is like, "That's ridiculous. Like, come on." And I'm like, "It's funny." And he's like, "No, right?" So I am like, "Whatever." And I take my photos and I leave the room, and I come back like 3 or 4 minutes later, and Bro Keller is there with his hair down and the fan blowing on his hair, and I go, "Why is it not ridiculous?"
He stole my spot.
Yeah, I was like, God,
he took my gimmick.
I guess as a commentator, it is kind of ridiculous, but it's for me. So I thought ridiculous is perfect. Yeah, but when Bro came in, fun. I just started yelling, and Frank started laughing, and then Bro's like, "What?" I'm like, "I tried to do that 5 minutes ago." He's like, "Why didn't you?"
Bro Keller's so much fun to work with. Yeah, Tarzan amazing. Duran. What a great worker. What a great character too. Like, and he really is like a tough dude too. Cause he, death matches aren't my thing, but like he kills it in those. And I've seen like those. Yeah. But he's so good at what he does. He giggled at our commentary line because Joe and I started talking about like Tarzan action figures from back in the day during one of his matches. He came out as a show one time and he wanted to come out as a new character. And I was like, nah, he's Tarzan. I just kept calling him Tarzan. Yeah, and then he came out Tarzan. Later in the show and he's just like, I'm Tarzan again. I think that character lasted like 13 minutes. Because Joe and I both work, or we're both from New Jersey. When he's billed from the jungles of Jersey, so which we just equate that to the Pine Barrens.
Yep. I actually said where the jungles since Tarzan's been on the scene, not one report of the Jersey Devil. I think Tarzan killed it. Yeah, that's a good one. We do a lot of work with Ace Dallas and Merrick Miami, El Piranha. Guys have all pretty much been the regulars since day one. They're finally shoring up their women's roster here because Zoe Cannon needed opponents. Mm-hmm. But that's how we started working with Clara Carreras and Harleen Lopez and Journey Burke. And they've Journey and Harleen. I'm not not taking away the other name you said, but I've seen Harleen and Journey work. They are bright futures. Harleen is I've never seen someone more passionate about the business than Harleen. Like I interviewed her on this podcast. She was like emotional talking about this industry. Like she's in it to win it.
She's so phenomenal. She was we had her in the Red Rose Rumble and she got to body slam Bill Bain.
Yeah.
Which I think that was his idea too. He was like, yeah, I'll let her body slam me. That'll put her over. Bill Bain, another great guy to work with. Sinister X has done spots for us as part of Kevin Murphy's stable. Kevin Murphy, of course, the top heel. Like phenomenal guy to work with. We go back a little bit. God, I'm blanking on names now, just people I've worked with.
I think you guys got a real gem. And me and Ricardo talked about it on his podcast, and maybe I'm a little biased. Just saying, I'm a little biased. But that J.S. Hawthorne, man, he is a gem. That's a gem in this business.
J.S. Hawthorne is so great because he's got such a perfect character for the wrestling business because it's theatrical. Mm-hmm. And I like Broadway stuff. So I'm always coming up with Broadway references in his matches, and I'm not sure where I am right now in like my little ticker here because I haven't seen every Broadway play, but
yeah,
he's so much fun.
He can do
with
heel.
too.
He could do baby face. He's literally so versatile. You could put him on commentary. I've done commentary with him. He's done ring announcing. He's ring crew. Like he is such a workhorse, man. And when you put him in front of a crowd, he just generates a reaction. Like he takes off that. Absolutely. If he's a bad guy and he takes off that shirt and he's all that body hair, and everyone's like, "What the hell?" And he'll eat it up. Like I've seen him do drag recently. He's just so good at whatever he does.
He can do it all, and that's what's awesome. That's a versatile performer right there. Yeah, my favorite was so. I do prefer to do my commentary without knowing the results because I like to call it as I see it. Yeah. But for the Rumble itself, I was just curious who was going over because it didn't have a spot listed on there. And actually, I asked Hawthorne because he was looking at the lineup with me. I said, "Do you know who's going over in this?" He goes, "Not a clue."
I love it.
He's like, "Just going to figure it out as you go." He goes, "I guess they haven't told me who's winning." Oh, he was actually winning it. So
yeah, he knew the whole time.
That's great. He just. I love the way he sold that for me. But
yeah, because actually the couple days before the show, he's like, "Are you gonna be able to make it?" And I go, "I can't. I don't have a car because I'm like in this weird funk." And he's just like, "I'm winning it." And I was like, "Nuh-uh." And he's like, because he showed me the promo and stuff he's doing, and I was just like, "I'm so bummed. But I'm so happy for him." Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool too because he was the number 2 guy, and he worked with a couple of regulars too, because we had Richie Nightmare in there and Jason Blade, also great, phenomenal guys to work with. Mm-hmm. And he got to eliminate Gene Snitsky as the last person, who was the WWE guy that was in the match. Yep. So he got to put out the top star that was technically in there because Snitsky and Clayton did the big man versus big man thing where Snitsky eliminates Clayton, and then as he's eliminating him, Hawthorne from behind pushes him out. And because he entered number 2, and he did Harleen's elimination, and like he puts her gently over the side, and then he freaking kisses her and then slaps her to the ground. And man, did he get heat for that? Yeah. And that was so perfect. And I think that was her idea too, because I heard her say, like, if you're gonna do my elimination, we're gonna get you the most heat possible. And I think she had just previously worked heel too, but for that moment right there, she was a shining babyface.
Yeah, she's another one too. Like, so that's the thing with Hawthorne is like, I feel when he comes into a new promotion with his look, he's a great heel.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
And I think Harleen's gonna fall into this trap too. But like, I think the more the talent and the crowd starts to learn about the person and the character and who they are, they become top baby faces. Like, it's going to Hawthorne will be like, he can be a great heel. But I think the more people fall in love with him and see his work rate and see what he can do and how he acts, like he's such a he's good at being a babyface also. And I think that's the same thing with Harleen. Like, you watch her and you're like, oh, she's bad, but then you're like, I kind of like, it's like an MJF treat. You're like, I want to root for them. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, we just worked recently with Shaza McKenzie and the Unwilting Tatiana, who are both phenomenal talents too. So you combine them. We've had Lady Frost and Mandy Leone in before.
Lady Frost is so good.
And so we've got these great women here, but it's like, it's pretty much like it's Zoe Cannon and Journey Burke, Harleen Lopez and Clara Carreras and Danny Moe are like the main regulars that are cycling through. So at the Rumble, they were the showcase talent. 4 of them had a 4-way, and then Harleen did the Rumble.
Yeah.
And that was,
you should look into, she's probably booked up a lot though, but maybe just putting a shout out there. Another female talent I'm a big fan of her work. We already said Adina, but 2 other ones I always say if you need strong people for a division, Christina Marie, but it's tough to get her because she's worked so hard, and JC Storm. Yeah. I'm a big JC Storm fan, as well as Cosmic. She's another one up in the New York scene. She usually is with Cosmic and Rembrandt. They work a lot. They train up at it's Battlefield, and I think it's the school that Masha helps train there. But Cosmic.
Ricardo, are you listening?
Yeah, Cosmic and JC Storm, Rembrandt. They're originally from House of Glory, but then do other things. But they're 3 good twins, and then Christina Marie. She's someone you could bring in, and she's like your beat her, like she's like your chaser. Like she gets your title, like you got to work your ass off to get it because she will kill. Like she's so good. Yeah. But yeah,
well, Adina Steele was the first women's match that we had. She wrestled
Mm-hmm.
Kayla Sparks. That was the main event of that show. So whatever she can say, she hasn't come back for us yet, even though I know she wants to. Ricardo, you listening? But but
Adina and Christine can put on some good matches too.
Oh, for sure.
And
but
if you can get her, Erica Lee,
yeah.
I've
seen some of her work too. Yeah,
she's amazing.
You know, that's the thing. Like right now, there's a really good crop of female wrestling talent in this area that definitely need to get more looked at. And I'm a huge proponent and supporter of women's wrestling, and hashtag support women's wrestling and all that.
Yeah, there's a promotion I think it's a Maryland promotion, but it's like Capital Women's Wrestling or something like that. It's like it's a full women's roster, and I haven't really seen the work at the shows yet, I'll be honest, but the roster they have in there, like I think Sue Young works there every now and then, like she's there. That's actually how I met Sue Young, is she was like, me and her were at tables together and they were promoting that promotion, and it's just like looking at their roster page, like I know Christina's there a lot and a few other names, but it's like a full women's roster page. It's like they do some good work, and that's like if you need to grab a few people, like hey, collaborate or something like that, because good. It is good to see full women's promotions on the scene, because a lot of women's wrestling doesn't get taken seriously on the independent scene. They kind of get thrown into a match, or it's like a multi-match, or you know what I mean, or it's not really treated to like, you don't really build a women's division up on the scene, and it's tough for them to get over.
Well, with Zoe Cannon being such a beloved regular as the homegrown talent, basically every woman she wrestles has gotten over because they're so into her that everybody she fights, even if it's babyface with Clara, but Clara's become a regular too. So she's got her own fan base now, but her matches with Harleen and with Journey Burke have just been amazing matches, and they've traded back and forth, and they did the whole like, is Zoe Cannon going to hit the Boston Crab? Because she's from Massachusetts, so that's her finisher. In fact, one of the best dynamics they did was they had her and Al Snook team up against Journey Burke and Junie Underwood, which was great because 3 of them were baby faces except for Journey Burke. So they all did like a big handshake at the beginning, and then Journey Burke just slaps their hands away. Junie's got like this offended look on his face, like, no, code of honor. What the hell?
Yeah. So the last thing for the wrestling side of thing, and then we'll switch gears over to your content.
Yes.
So where can people watch Three Legacies Wrestling?
Well, if you can't make it to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, the Premier Streaming Network has the entire library of Three Legacies Wrestling, or you can check us out on YouTube.
Are you guys uploading some matches on YouTube?
Yes, we actually had one show we unfortunately couldn't send to Premiere because we had audio issues, so we gave it away for free.
Nice. So yeah, Premier Network, that is the Freddie Prinze Jr. network.
Yes,
that's what I call it. But
good Lord, I work for Freddie Prinze Jr. now.
Yeah, tons and tons of great. Maybe it's not good to say this, but I say if you're going to support independent wrestling, there's 3 ways to do it, and it's super affordable. Premiere is a great place. Tons of places. IWTV and Fight TV. Yep.
Fight TV. There they are.
And Fight TV. Not trying to put one over the other, but like I think it's like $5 or $4.99, and all of GCW is on there too. You know what I mean? Right. Like that's a great, like someone who buys the collective every year for $150, $4.99 to get all of it. Give me that.
Premiere does have a bit of a, because it's a yearly subscription fee. I know it has gone up, but there's so much content on there that you're not gonna run out. Too. Yeah, there's tons of podcasts. That's where what's his name? Cardona and Myers.
Figure.
Yeah, they're on there. So yeah, you're always gonna get new content too. So yeah,
hey, Premiere, if you want a podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Tweet ABJ on Premier Network now.
Yeah. And check out 3LW and check them out. They're on Pro Wrestling Tees. You can check out the Three Legacies Academy. You can check them out on social media. They're on all the major social medias. So don't miss out.
So we are at the hour 15, but I do want to talk about some of your content. So tell me some of the things you got going on, and let's get into that.
So you can check me out on the YouTube channel, the CKCC Video. And the podcasting channel is CKCC Radio on all the major podcasting networks. CKCC stands for Club Kayfabe Creative Community. Club Kayfabe was the original wrestling group that I had started. I used to have a message board. I'm going to really date myself here. And we moved that into a Facebook group as just a natural evolution, and I called it Club Kayfabe. We were the home of true wrestling fans, even though we had a couple people in there that were questionable. We got rid of them real fast. We ended up starting a podcast related to it, and then that became the Club Kayfabe podcast, Club Kayfabe Wrestle Talk later on. And then I liked, kayfabe's like my favorite word.
It just got put in the dictionary.
I know, which is so crazy. I can't get the license plate in PA, though, because Ultramantis Black has it. I look
That's
for
right.
it.
He does. That's right.
Because Joe has the Jersey one, and he's got the PA one. And when they had the show together, they parked next to each other and took the picture. I can't get it. I can get like CLB KYFB, though. Like, I've looked that one up. Maybe I'll get it. I have no idea. But
I want to get ABJ 570. I'm going to look that up.
Do it.
See if it's there.
It's probably available. So the podcasting channel has a multitude of shows on it. I'm in the process of launching 2 brand new shows. One has not been titled yet, but it's going to be an evolution of a show I used to do called The Nerd Table, where we just get around and discuss nerd stuff.
Love it.
And 3LW is actually going to be sponsoring us.
If you need a guest, I like nerdy talk.
Well, absolutely. And we're going to we're bringing in 2 of our female friends are going to join us here. It's going to be 5 of us on the round table, or as I called it, a pentagon, or as my buddy Eric called it, a pentagram. But we'll see where we're going with that too.
I still fit in.
There it is. Yep, there it is. The Not So Humble Broadcast is going to be a one-on-one interview show, and I came up with this concept. I actually used to have an old podcast where I just interviewed my friends and talked about cool stuff, and then later on, I saw you did a show called Interviews with Everyday People that I thought was really cool, and I liked that concept. And then I was kind of going over all the cool stuff that I've done in my life, and I realized, man, I'm, one out of 8 billion people. Think about all these other great stories that are out there, and nobody's talking to these people because they aren't quote unquote anybody. But now that I know so many cool people who've done stuff, it's time to have them tell their stories. So of course,
love that.
Ricardo was kind enough to agree to be interviewed. So he'll be on your show. You'll get to see him on mine. 3LW, of course, as one of the sponsors. One of our other sponsors, the Future Is Now Coalition, a company that I work for. Still growing, by the way, still growing. Now we're in a really weird transitional period where we're about to blow up. And maybe by the time you guys are hearing this, we will have blown up and started hiring more media people. Just throwing that out there. More media people. We're going to definitely need them. But I'm working with the media team here. We're actually changing the face of American politics, which seems like an impossible task, but we're actually pulling it off. And the second we get funding, which is why we've launched an Indiegogo campaign, we're gonna be off to the races here. The founder, Travis Miserol, is going to be a guest on the show as well, so you guys can check that out. And my buddy Adrian, who runs Motivational Vacations, he's a travel agent, and he's a motivational speaker. So that's like 2 episodes right there, because I can split those pretty easily. He's going to be one of the guests as well. But I know I've definitely talked to you about this, not trying to blow secrets or anything, but we've talked about having you on, and I've talked to a couple other people. So I've got the content ready. Really, at this point, it's just getting the show out there. By the time this airs, it's probably out there already, guys. So it's CKCC Radio. We're on all the major podcasting networks, and there's other shows you can check out too. My buddy Jeff has a show called Real Paranormal Talk, where he talks about his actual experiences as a paranormal investigator and discusses ghost stories, everything from legends, cryptid legends like the Loch Ness Monster and the Jersey Devil.
I love cryptids. Cryptids.
Cryptids are awesome. And I've been on a couple of those episodes before, and he also does a show called Ranking Tracks, where he takes an album, listens to it, and then ranks all the songs on it from his least favorite to his favorite. And
That's
he
awesome.
does a lot of different genres too, which is a lot of fun. So there's a multiple of platforms and stuff coming there. The YouTube channel, I'm actually working on a game show called Trivia Battle Royal, where I take a bunch of contestants, I ask them questions, and whoever gets the lowest scores, I boot them, and we keep going.
I love that. If you like game shows and playing game shows, you should definitely go check out my Discord. I have a guy in our Discord.
I'm in your Discord.
He hosts game nights all the time, and he's very, very good at it. He's also
Game
my
nights
logo
are so
guy.
much fun.
Yeah, logos by Hunter. Check him out.
Yes, game shows are so much fun. So you guys can check that stuff out. And I have a ton more content I'm working on. Some of it might be up by the time you guys are seeing this. It's just that because I'm working the 2 jobs, I want to give a shout out to the Inn at Leola Village, the hotel I work at, who promoted me to projects manager, a huge promotion.
Nice.
And I want to give them a shout out too, because I'm actually, even though I've really, the hospitality industry has beaten me up over the years. I want to give them a shout out for being one of the best hotels I've ever worked at. Phenomenal management team. Everybody works really well together. They care about the place. It's a Forbes rated 4-star hotel, and they act as such, which I appreciate because I worked at another 4-star hotel in Orlando that didn't act like that at all. So, but yeah, and so shout out to them. So to Fink and the Inn at Leola Village and Motivational Vacations, and of course 3LW, check them out, guys. They've been phenomenal. They've helped me a lot, and they'll help you.
Yeah, it's great promotions. Thank you so much for doing this, man. There definitely has to be a part 2 because there's a whole nother layer to like the Disney side of things that we haven't covered.
It's going to be really crazy when people hear like the stories. Like I've got a ton of stuff. Like maybe we can try to do like an interactive thing beforehand so people can ask questions, because there's a lot of rumors out there that I'd love to quench, but there's a lot of stuff that's true that I think
a lot of conspiracies too.
Oh, there's
what's going on that island? There's a monster on that island. The government was
yeah, his name is Mickey.
Yeah,
he's a tyrannical beast.
So it's funny you're saying all the other content. Like, so hopefully in October, I have like another week of interviews, and I'm done for the year, and I'll have the rest of the year done. And then I maybe have like 4 or 5 interviews for the new season next year too, kind of in the bank. But I want to start doing like the Not Cool in High School again, and the Banging Beers, and the Not Cool in High School horror that I spawned but never really did anything with, and then the Tornado Tag. So I want to start doing like movie reviews. So I'm gonna like bring somebody on, be like, hey, what's your favorite movie? Let's watch it. Not on the podcast, but we could watch it simultaneously, or if we watch it together, and then just kind of talk about the movie and review it. So that's coming soon. Album reviews. The first one I'm doing is the new Blink album. So by the time you watch this, I'll be.
You believe that, already. Man? Like, what year is this?
Dude, have you heard the 3 songs they released so far?
I actually have. Yeah, I'm
good.
I'm digging it.
Yeah, I'm digging it. Huge Blink fan. But yeah, so do
you remember this was recently? Well, not that recently, but like Blink had come out with a new song, and then like Jimmy Eat World had a new song. Yeah, and I was like, what's happening right now? Where did these guys come from? They've been
later on in that month. Blink's coming out with an album, and so is oh my goodness, just had a brain fart.
I can't help you with this one. I'm not sure who else is coming out with a new album.
Why am I not? I'm like dying here right now.
Don't edit this.
Oh, Taking Back Sunday. Yeah, Taking Back Sunday. Yeah, so they're coming out with a new album. So yeah, but yeah, so we're very similar in our passions for wrestling and pop culture and all that. So
for sure.
So definitely link up with both of our channels. You'll see us cross promoting. And the thing I want to start doing too with Tornado Tag, we're probably going to be recording it either this week or the next week, but we're doing like an independent spotlight. I kind of like you're doing that on social media. I think it's very, very cool that you're doing that, where you pick somebody, you get a small write-up. I think it's awesome that you're doing that, and I want to kind of showcase that on Tornado Tag. So we're going to start maybe bringing you in, and like each of us pick like 2 people, and we talk about why we like them and why people should be watching them, and get more eyes on the independent wrestling scene.
Oh, and shout out to Andy Hedder, who encouraged me to actually put them in an album. And then I said, oh, cool. Since you came up with the idea, I'll do the next spotlight for you. Just give me a little write-up. And then he never did. So
he won't do it either.
I know. I gotta be on. Hopefully by the time you guys see this, that will have already happened. But I need to like Andy.
It probably won't. It probably won't be out. Yeah,
he did send me the picture he wanted me to use, but now I have to just make stuff up. So
just give him a full kayfabe list.
Andy,
the
man,
longest reigning. He was Garden State wrestling champion for 15 years. I don't think they lost that title, right? That's still a thing.
He wouldn't even still be the champion, so that's even better. Yeah. I don't even think the promotion was 15 years old at this point, is it? 2007? No, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. No.
Blue and Gold has been tag team champions now for decades. Yeah.
Blue and Gold are the tag team champions of my heart.
Yeah, very good guys.
I want Blue and Gold versus FTR. Let's make it happen.
Well, he wanted Rock and Roll Express in the worst way, but I think that ship has now sailed. I think they're on the You could probably get Ricky and his kid.
You could. I think you could. Yeah.
I watched Rock and Roll Express versus Stepdads. That was fun.
Oh yeah. Another great group of guys too. The Stepdads. What a fun gimmick too.
So good. But that'll do it. I think this is officially the longest podcast so far I've done.
Yeah, sorry. That's me.
No, I love
my fault.
it. Listen, the old interviews with Everyday People used to be like 2-hour shows, sometimes 3. It was out of control. And people were like, I don't want to sit for 3 hours. So I've been trying to keep them around an hour, but if they go over, I'm not upset by it. But listen, that'll do it for the ABJ podcast. We'll be back again next week with another episode, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thank you guys. Sure you
follow all his links and support. Go to his content and support it, and we'll see you guys next time.
Follow his links. Support
all down
him
there.
too.
Here's the Converse
it's
kid.
all down there. Do it.
We're
right
out
there.
of here.
Right there.
Bye.